We are here to announce an arrest for the homicides of Richard and Julianne Vilardo. Scott Michael Tomaszewski, 31-year-old white male, is being charged in this case. The Vilardos were found murdered in their home 1 week ago. At the beginning of the investigation by Montgomery County Police major crime detectives, it was quickly determined that there were a number of leads that took us in several different directions. One of those leads was associated with an earlier break-in that had occurred on Ridge Drive, the street where the Vilardos live, about 1 month earlier, over the Easter weekend. In addition, the Vilardos' home had been broken into in April of 1998, 17 years ago. That case led us to further investigate the Tomaszewski brothers. That 17-year-old connection ultimately led us to Scott Tomaszewski and the recent burglary on Ridge Drive. It was determined that Mr. Tomaszewski was currently on a cruise in Alaska. So with the assistance of the Alaska State Police, the Juneau, Alaska Police Department, the Juneau Field Office of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the U.S. Coast Guard Investigative Section, and U.S. Customs, we took Mr. Tomaszewski into custody at 8:30 a.m. Alaska time. Simultaneous search warrants, this was 8:30 yesterday morning. Simultaneous search warrants were served on his cabin on the ship, as well as the home in Rockville where he lived. The search warrants were for a burglary, for that burglary that had occurred a month earlier over the Easter weekend on Ridge Drive. Items recovered during both searches linked Mr. Tomaszewski to the Vilardo homicides, including blood-soaked currency in his wallet. Upon being questioned by Montgomery County detectives who had traveled to Juneau, Mr. Tomaszewski confessed to the killings. I want to introduce State's Attorney John McCarthy, who can talk about the next steps in terms of the legal process.
Thank you. The purpose of my comments here, and I cannot, as many of you know, we've met on occasions before, I can't address the evidence at this time for ethical reasons. I really want to talk about two things. Number one, what's going to happen next procedurally, and just make a comment, if I could briefly, about the extraordinary efforts of the police department here in Montgomery County. We do not have crimes of this nature, thankfully, in our community very often. I know, and I know Mr. Leggett, the chief, and I have spoken about it. Obviously, this was a matter of high concern for the people of this community, and I think that the people of Montgomery County should be really proud of the work of the police department here. To have a case of this nature that involved the coordination, and by my count, 7 to 8 different police departments involving a cross-continental arrest that takes place 4,000 miles away from here. This is extraordinary work. I will tell you, I witnessed throughout the course of the week just the magnificent dedication of the men and women of the Montgomery County Police Force, not only the detectives, but the forensic workers who literally have almost essentially been working around the clock in this case since this case broke. So I will say I want to congratulate the chief, and I want to thank the county executive for his dedication of resources to the police department that allows us to do this type of extraordinary work. Having said that, let me just, if I could, the actual arrest warrant charging defendant in this case with the murders of the Vilardos was served this morning at 7:30 a.m. Alaskan time. That charging document contains 5 counts, 2 counts of murder, 1 each for Mr. and Mrs. Vilardo, 2 counts of armed robbery, and 1 count of burglary. Today, which is consistent with procedure in Alaska, after being served with that new warrant, the earlier warrant was for the burglary, that was actually served yesterday. The second warrant was served today on the murders. He saw a judicial officer at 10 o'clock this morning, Alaska time. He will not appear before a judge till tomorrow. We do not know precisely the hour at which he will appear in court in Juneau, but he will see a judicial officer. At that time, bond will be officially set. But I would anticipate that he would be held without bond on these matters, and he will be given the opportunity. Again, I'm not an expert on how they're going to handle it there, but typically what happens when you have a detainer, and Montgomery County Police has lodged 2 detainers against the suspect in this case. The detainers are for the original burglary, Easter burglary, the chief referred to, and also the murder of the Vilardos. He will be given an opportunity to waive extradition. There'll be a document, he'll be prepared, and he'll be told by the judge in open court, if he signs that document, he could be sent back here to Montgomery County as early as Tuesday or sometime this week. He will have the opportunity, as any person has, to fight extradition back to Maryland. The grounds upon which you can fight an extradition are very limited. The only thing you can contest, you cannot contest the merits of the charges as to either of these documents. The only thing you can contest is that you are not the person named in the charging document. That does not appear to be something I think is going to happen in this case. Based on my experience, the vast majority of individuals do in fact waive, which gives me some hope that we will be seeing him sooner rather than later. But again, we could be seeing the suspect back here in Montgomery County in the district court as early as later this week, or potentially if he decides to fight it, he would be entitled to a governor's hearing in that state within 30 days, and then we would retrieve him. The documents filed right now are charging documents. They're within the jurisdiction of the district court. When he's brought back here to Montgomery County, he will initially be arraigned by a district court judge. Within 30 days of his coming back here to Montgomery County, we will be responsible under Maryland law to make a determination as to whether to present this matter to the grand jury for indictment, which I anticipate is exactly what we would in fact do. Again, I'm going to now turn this over to the county executive, Mr. Leggett, for his comments.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Chief. We're not accustomed to this type of crime in Montgomery County. It's not the kind of thing that we regularly experience. But I'm confident that we've seen it demonstrated in this situation of our police force, the leadership that we have, all of the detectives, and the people who, in a relatively short period of time, brought the suspect into custody for this crime. I want to say to the Vilardo family and to all of those who are concerned about this, we've acted and we've acted quickly. We provide the resources and we provide all the necessary support that our police and criminal justice department needs in order to resolve these kinds of issues. The better choice would be that we would not be faced with this. But when we are, I'm confident in our leadership, Chief Ranger and the prosecutors under John McCarthy, that we will do what is right for the community. And I'm here to say that this is something that we will not tolerate, it's something we will respond to, and I'm delighted to see the fact that we have. The better course for us not to be in this situation talking to prevent these kinds of crimes in the first place. But when they occur, we are confident that we have the resources and leadership to make certain we bring people to justice. For the people in Montgomery County, I want you to know that we're thankful for the leadership that we have here today to back this issue. Thank you.
Happy to answer any questions that you might have.
You mentioned the Tomaszewski brothers. Is there any indication that he's involved in this, and were they involved in? Where does the brother figure in?
Well, right now, the suspect we have in custody, we don't have any information that there's anybody else involved at this point.
But is the brother someone that's known to police?
That was with regard to the investigation we did 17 years ago.
Who is he on this cruise with?
My understanding he's on the cruise with his family.
And this was a pre-planned cruise?
That is my understanding, yes.
His reaction when, officers interrupt his Alaskan cruise vacation?
It was the way it was described to me by the detectives. It was very matter of fact. Didn't have much of an emotional reaction at all.
And just where did this happen? Was it in the cruise ship? Was it in the town?
He had been on a tour, I think a whale watching tour, and when that tour came back into the dock, that's where Alaskan authorities took him into custody.
When did the cruise leave?
I don't know the exact date the cruise left.
Don't know where it left from?
I don't know that either.
You had said that start out as a robbery, that they happened across him?
Well, we believe that he broke into the house. We don't know at this point what his intentions were, but we have evidence that there was a burglary.
And do we know that 17 years ago he was also involved in the burglary of their home as well?
Well, he was house sitting for the Vilardos at the time when the Vilardos were away and their home was broken into.
How long has he lived on the Ridge Drive?
I don't know, but it's for at least 17 years.
How did you guys track him to Alaska?
When we first responded, of course, one of the things that you do is you speak with all of the neighbors, canvass the neighbors to see if anyone saw anything suspicious. And speaking to one family member who was at the home, he had mentioned that his family had just left on a cruise, and the fact that and made a comment about some suspicious vehicles on the street that he saw the night that this occurred.
Was the family celebrating any milestone?
I don't know.
The charging document says that in early April, police connected him to the pawn sale of the high school class, right? Was there any attempt by police to then try to go to the suspect's home?
That case was under investigation. The burglary occurred in early April. The information linking the suspect to that case and then to this case didn't come until just a couple of days ago.
Now, this burglary of the Vilardos about 17 years ago, that would have made him 13 years old.
Yes.
Were there certain things, what made it a burglary? What went missing from that?
Well, he was not a suspect. The suspect in this case, he was not a suspect in that case, but he had information that helped us identify a suspect.
In talking with the Vilardo family, was there bad blood neighbor to neighbor? Was there a fear of this gentleman living next door?
I don't.
And do you have any indication as to if the family woke up, if Jody woke up in the middle of the night, or if he maliciously targeted them in addition to the robbery?
We don't know that at this point. We know that we believe that the burglary occurred an hour or two after Vilardo's arrived home from being out that night.
And the suspect, he lived next door with his parents. That's his parents' home, or that is his?
It's his parents' home.
If the parents indicated they had any suspicion their son could have been involved in this,
We've not spoken to the parents.
do you have detectives en route to Juneau?
Say again.
Do you have detectives en route to Juneau?
Our detectives have been in Juneau for several days.
At what point then did you identify him as a suspect?
Once we identified him as a suspect in the burglary case that occurred in the neighborhood about a month earlier, it was at that point that we thought there might be a connection to the burglary that Vilardo is.
Just to make one thing clear, he is not or still isn't a suspect in the 17-year-old case?
That case was closed by arrest. He was not arrested in that case.
What residents are going to have a hard time wrapping their mind around is this man allegedly kills these two people in the middle of the night for no apparent reason, gets on a cruise ship, and then just says, yeah, I did it. What do you make of that?
I think everybody would have a difficult time making sense of that because it makes no sense.
Was he emotional? Was he stoic?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
When you say his family, was his wife, kids, you know, the breakdown of who was on the cruise with?
I don't believe he's married. He's on the cruise with his parents and I think siblings.
The other guy who was the other brother, who he suspected of the burglary?
His brother is at the home now.